Hal has the Black Hand. Joe has the Green Lantern. Guy got judged. But what happened to John Stewart? Welcome to the Comicstorian Complete Story Series, where you get audio dramas of your favorite comic books, helping you decide what to go out and add to your collection. Today we continue Absolute Green Lantern with issue number 3 by Al Ewing. I hope you enjoy. The past. John Stewart stands on the edge of town, staring at the green barrier that now separates them from the rest of the world. He looks down at his hand and stares at the cheap fake gold earring that he is holding. "Johnny? Earth to John Stewart," Todd says as he crosses the street from his diner and holds out a cup of coffee for his friend. "Wake up and smell the legendary coffee. At least before it runs out and we're all drinking that herbal crap I keep in the back," Todd tells him with a smile. Both friends turn back and watch as vultures continue to feed on the former motorcyclist that had crashed into the barrier. The two discuss the situation in town. Food will hold up for some time, and basic supplies should last them a little while, though Todd admits that most people are keeping to themselves and staying in their homes. They're waiting for the grown-ups, hoping an authority will swoop in and fix this, John explains as he takes a sip of his coffee. Both friends watch as a van drives towards town, but it suddenly stops and simply turns around, driving away like it never saw anything. "I think we have to assume the shield has an effect on the minds of those outside. They just don't see it," John says with a sigh. Todd looks at him in shock. "How is that even possible?" he asks. John shrugs and shakes his head. "It's not by any of the rules we know, but all of this is alien and unknown. So, what else don't we know?" John asks. He holds up the earring again and shows it to Todd, explaining that it was the only piece of the biker that didn't explode, the only piece that came through the barrier. Todd stares at it in disbelief. "You're kidding," he whispers. John shakes his head and holds it up. "Why did it make it through? What are the rules? What don't we know?" he says before throwing it at the barrier. There's a slight pop of displaced energy as the earring phases through the wall and lands on the other side, clattering gently on the pavement and disturbing the feasting vultures. Both men stare for a moment before taking sips of their coffee. "Okay, how?" Todd asks. John shakes his head and smiles. "I don't know, but I'm going to. I'm going to know everything," John whispers. Back in the present, Joe stands over Hal as he slumps back into one of the diner booths. He stares down at his glowing black hand and turns over the pistol that he still clutches. Joe watches as darkness begins to fall from his eyes like tears. "Talk to me, Hal," Joe whispers, but Hal just shakes his head and stands, holding down his black arm as if it has a mind of its own. "I told you, the Black Hand is hungry for light, angry at it. Can you turn it off?" he asks as he motions to the green light that has formed around her. She looks at him sadly and shakes her head. Hal nods and smiles, releasing his black hand, and he raises it quickly, the pistol aiming at her. "Yeah, that's fair. I don't know how to turn mine off either," Hal tells her as he fires the gun. The gun is charged with dark energy, and it hits Joe hard. The green light shields her, but she is still knocked across the diner. The dark energy continues to pour on, but Joe throws up a stronger shield, creating a bubble that pushes the darkness back. "Hal, stop!" she yells, but Hal shakes his head. "It wants the light, Joe. I can't stop it. If you just give it what it wants," Hal bellows, but Joe shakes her head. Green cracks of light begin to appear in her skin. "It wants to kill me, like it killed everyone here. You've got to control it," she yells. She closes her eyes, focusing all her will through the green ring that she wears and pushes it back, suddenly forming a massive green fist that launches across the room, slamming into Hal and knocking him back. With enough force that he explodes out of the diner, bouncing along the dusty plain until he comes to a stop. When he finally opens his eyes, he is looking up at Joe floating above him, her entire body glowing with green light. "Get your crap under control, Hal, or I swear to God, I'll do it for you." Joe snaps at him. Hal stares up at her in disbelief, his dark hand reaching for her light. How are you controlling it?" he whispers as he reaches up to pull back the black hand. The past. John stands at the edge of the barrier as Hal and Joe approach. Hal holds up the golden toy that John asked for. "Behold, the Blue Devil!" Only he's not blue, because this is an all-gold Funzo figure made to commemorate the 10th anniversary of a pretty forgettable Wayne Tarrant movie. I paid $8 for it, and now it's probably worth maybe 8 cents. Not one of my better deals, Hal says before handing it over to John. "I was hoping for a plastic sword or something like that, but this will definitely do, Hal," John says. Joe looks to them, asking what's going on. Hal just shrugs. "No idea. He just turned up at my house and asked for a toy that looks like it was made of gold," Hal says, his words trailing off as they watch John suddenly stick the gold toy through the green barrier and drop it on the other side. "Interesting. Definitely a stronger reaction than last time," John notes as he stares at the displaced energy that ripples outward before the barrier returns to normal. He turns back and looks to his friends. "So, what do we think?" he asks. Joe is shocked. "Wait, this thing doesn't work on plastic?" she asks as she motions to the barrier. John shrugs. "We need to stop applying the rules that we know to the unknown," John tells them. "Ever hear of the Philosopher's Stone? It's the central symbol of alchemy, the substance that turns base metal into gold. It can heal wounds, prolong life, create a homunculus, light an ever-burning lamp. It's a symbol that stands for enlightenment. What is base becomes gold through knowledge," explaining that it seems like cheap plastic can breach the barrier if it takes the form of gold. John reaches into his pocket and pulls out a wedding ring. Gold with a diamond. "It's my grandmother's ring. Let's see what happens when it's real gold," John says before throwing the ring at the barrier. There is a massive displacement of energy that pushes the friends back, forcing them to shield their eyes. When they look again, they see a hole destroyed in the barrier, but it quickly begins to reform. "You made a hole! You made a hole in the barrier!" Hal shouts with joy. Joe shakes her head in disbelief. "How long was that? 2 seconds? 3? If the hole was bigger, someone could get out. How much gold do we have?" she asks quickly. John nods his head, explaining that they need to learn more, but their conversation is cut short as someone begins to speak above them. "John Stewart," Abin Sur says as he floats down. The 3 friends look up as the alien holds out his hand and green energy begins to form. "John Stewart, judgment is in progress," Abin Sur rumbles. The green fire begins to engulf John, and Hal and Joe watch as their friend is burned before them. "John Stewart has been judged," Abin Sur says before turning away. But Todd comes out of the diner, a shotgun in hand. "You miserable son of a! Here's your judgment!" Todd shouts as he fires. But the shot never reaches Abin Sur, instead bouncing harmlessly off a green shield. "Judgment is in progress, Todd Rice. Be without fear," Abin Sur says before flying up in a ball of green energy and disappearing into his ship. Alone, the three friends bow their heads in sadness. John got too close. It wouldn't let him, Joe whispers. Tears spilled from her eyes. Hal nods. We should have been more careful. He should have been. All that talk about clues and lessons. The man of knowledge, Hal whispers. He turns and begins to walk away from his friends. But there's no knowledge to learn. No big enlightenment. We're prisoners, trapped in hell and tortured by an alien god. And it's never going to end unless somebody ends it, Hal tells them. Hal returns home and starts to work. He has one of the cops' pistols and has taken out the bullets. And Hal works hard, painting the bullets gold. And that is where issue 3 leaves us. The green energy's weakness has been revealed, and Hal has begun to take action into his own hands after seeing the alien kill another of his friends. What's going to happen next time with his golden bullets? You'll just have to subscribe to get notified when issue 4 comes to the channel. And if you enjoyed today's video, leave a comment, like the video, and share it with your friends. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.